And welcome back. I'm your hostess, Gaming Wolf S. And if I just add S on everything, it means something additive rather than reductive. Supposedly.
What do I add to this conversation? Well, you see, first you must go from a cold place and then assume it is on a mountain, which means you're high enough that you're going in the sky without actually any snow. I don't know how the dirt does this. It's a lot like in World 7 and New Super Mario Bros. Wii, where you're just in ground in the air and yet not freezing. Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, Goonie wings. Watch as they fly.
Look at this overweight Goonie. He can try to fly and fail at it. It's hilarious, though. It's like, I can do it 9 times. And there he is without wings. Whee! I'm the bestest. I feel like Purple Yoshi is always getting this music. Like, Purple Yoshi tends to get this music a lot. Just used to it by now. It's like, it's time for purple jazz.
Now, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna fly up into that pipe by riding a Goonie with wings, and it's gonna take us a while because we don't want to mess with his flow, even though it's carrying us. Really can't do much. All he can do is fly into the sun.
Yeah. That reminds me, I saw that Eternals movie, and, kind of mid-tier. Not gonna lie. Although, it did have fucking, whoever that was voicing the Eternal. Not the Eternal, the actual, Celestial thing. That was pretty sweet. It's that guy who you expect to voice, like, Megatron Transformers or wherever that guy was. It's like, oh, wow. Like, that's a step up. I think it's because maybe they thought, like, they can make it work how they did with, like, where they're trying to make, like, alternate teams of the Avengers that can just work if they do. It's like, okay, now we have Guardians of the Galaxy who can make this work, so... And I'd say that had some success. I mean, I did, like, go and see the second Guardians of the Galaxy in person. What I mean is in the theaters. In person. How would you see a movie in person without actually working on it? Just witness to the movie-making magic. I'm a helicopter right now. A purple helicopter. But yeah, then they try to do this thing with, like, the Inhumans, which didn't work out for them. Although I don't even know if that's production team's fault on that one. I mean, because the Inhumans have a plot point about, royal brother and sister marriage that I'm sure would not go over well with any audience. Even if that was something that would have been done in, like, old royalties back then. It's like, ooh, am I supposed to assume these are superheroes? Oh dear. I don't know if that was the reason, but that seems like that'd be one of those things that you'd really have to figure out how to write with that information. Or just make them adoptive or fostering or something like that. Or no, that doesn't make that any better. Just not related by blood, or it gets awkward real fast. Then they try to do that to Eternal. It's like, we'll just make a new team. Just assume people will like it. Not me. But you know what would probably work if they actually brought back the X-Men, which I am almost certain I'm gonna do. So, I don't know about you guys, but I want to see the newest reiteration of what the X-Men / Fantastic Four are gonna do. Basically, anything that was a Fox movie before it became a Disney movie. Now I want to see it again. At least they salted that over with what they did to the latest Spider-Man thing. I really like that, by the way. Even though I know it's very fan-servicey. It was more about the spectacle. In fact, if you're going for Marvel movies for something deeper than a spectacle, you might be doing it wrong. It's a lot like going to an amusement park. You're not trying to get, like, a whole, like, thesis out of the experience, necessarily, rather than just the mechanics used to make it and write it and such. But I don't know. Some people think it sucks because of how much it's just being... how trendy it is. And I understand that. People can hate stuff because it's popular, but, you know, liking and hating because something is popular is not really valid, I don't think. In my case, anyway. I don't need other people to tell me what's cool. At least I shouldn't need other people to tell me what's cool. Or rather, I choose what people I want to listen to when it comes to what's cool. Not just the general, like, blob of populace, you know. I don't know if that makes me a hipster. I feel like a hipster, as is used in modern parlance, is more of contrarianism for its own sake, which doesn't necessarily make you someone not focused on popularity. Like with anything you would call counterculture, I guess. That counters it directly as opposed to making something of its own. So, that's why it's a lot like how I say with, I talk about the obvious and the not obvious in the same breath. It's also within the context of media. I can talk about popular and not that popular stuff under the same breath, because that's just how I am. Like, obviously with the popular stuff, it's like, yeah, but that's because I knew much of it directly. Now it seems like I might be influenced by some amounts of popular things, or likewise. I hope not. I was just trying this game out, Polyroll, which is like a Sonic clone, and, you know, literally no one I knew talked about that, and it looked pretty fine to me. So, if that ends up being popular because I just talked about it now, I guess the onus is on me to explain. I didn't mean it. I just thought it was cool, based on the gameplay trailer. And I was right, for me. That said, it's not going to be super original, but, you know, it works for me. Kind of like this other thing I found was like Primal Light or something, which is like something of like, I'd say a Castlevania-ish, more in the traditional Super Nintendo NES stuff, but just different. And it's like, oh, remember this? And it's like, I don't, but it plays like something I would remember, so I guess close enough.
You get all the total points. I put them in my total pants.
Flip cards. Are you a flip-flopping politician? Do you have cards? Consider flip cards. I like to flip. Ooh, these are some juicy items. I'm going to exit with that. That's pretty good. Especially the full eggs. That pretty much sealed the deal for me. 5-6. I see balloons that are going to drop cactuses on me. Sounds about par for the course in this sort of scenario. Welcome to Cloud World. This is an auto-scroller, which means you're just going to have to be patient and wait for it to end. However, sometimes in these auto-scrollers, parts where you can like transport yourself to somewhere else before coming back to the main area, and the auto-scrolling begins anew.
I'm on this big old cloud.
Which, it's weird how the cloud's ground is defined by this, like, whatever this dirt thing stuff is. These markings of where it's safe to walk. Yeah. It doesn't necessarily have to align with how the general shape of the cloud goes either, depending on some factorials. Oh boy, I hope Yoshi's got enough oxygen to survive the trip.
Man, I hope they play baseball games on the cloud servers.
Nope, I still don't want you or your children. You're just gonna have to deny my offers. And let's just do that, thank you. I'm not gonna mess with the batter. The batter's batting average sucks anyway. Yeah, we're just missing like an umpire character, but no, instead we have catcher who is also thrower, and then the batter. You know, Japan really likes baseball. I hope you do too. Oh, throw again. Up, more throwers. Yes, balls.
Come on, G. Dodge my ball. It's not so hard. Get good, scrubber, Yoshi. Scrubba-dubba.
Yes, the clouds. Is that where your head is? Yes. Head in the clouds, feet on the ground. The curse of the tall man. Especially when it's not even you, it's just someone pretending to be you because you entered another dimension by accident. The Tall Man Chronicles. Yeah. Well, at least this new Star Wars thing I hear called Star Wars Endor, even though it's a one-name title, it's at least not story revolving around a single character, because I'm kind of tired of that. Like, it's okay when it's, like, the focus of a movie, yes, or when they're the focus of an episode of a series. That's fine, too. But I feel like if you're trying to make every Star Wars characters hold up by themselves all the freaking time, well, I don't know what to say, necessarily, or how much it plays on the bigger plot, or how, like, the story has to revolve around a character who is otherwise not exactly a good person, and pretend as if that's fine. Like with that Black Adam movie, which I enjoyed, less for the guy playing Black Adam and more for the guy playing Dr. Fate. It was like a finally aged Pierce Brosnan. I'm like, what the fuck? That was cool as fuck. So sadly, I don't know if he's gonna do that again, but I would like it if he did. Man. It's like, that's your answer to Benedict Cumberbatch. It was Pierce Brosnan. It's like, oh, not necessarily a bad decision. Considering how Matt Smith is being used in, like, the Morbius verse, or whatever the fuck's going on over there. I'm not sure what that shit's about, where they have, like, a Venom verse. Like, what? Yeah, a Spider-Man verse without a Spider-Man. What do I make of that, exactly? Especially how a lot of these characters were created because of their antagonism towards Spider-Man. And now they just exist, for whatever reason, without any of that, like, hatred towards him. Just like, hey, do I know you or something? It's like, maybe not. Although I do wonder about the whole connection with, like, you know how in there's, like, the God Slayer in the 4th movie. He has this, like, weapon. Now, I want to say this is a spoiler, but it's not actually mentioned in the movie, but that sword basically belongs to the guy that's the guy who created symbiotes. So, the Venom connections are there. We're ready, man. Same with, like, the Fantastic Four X-Men connections that come with Kang the Conqueror, if you know anything about Kang's possible ancestry with the Fantastic Four and Doctor Doom, and if you know the origin of Apocalypse. That has to do with a lot of time travel fuckery by our man Kang, so... yeah. Time travel caused the X gene. No shit. Totally within character to make things work this way. So, if anything, the takeaways from them being so popular, I just put them in a way to make them be incredibly great when they come back. I don't know how much I'll like the new Fantastic Four stuff, because that works better as a series, to me. Same with X-Men, but, you know, X-Men movies can happen. It'd just be a conflict between, who knows. I just hope that means that I hear that maybe they're, like, I heard about Deadpool 3 and how we're gonna have huge, jacked up man. I'm hoping that turns into something more. Or more importantly, I just want to see Cable again. There's a lot of story potential for Cable that they never use. And they've tried to use. They took him away from the stereotype to make him something different, which is just the nature of how much can you do to ultimately affect the story without changing the definition of a story. I think that's the crime and punishment of writing a story about Cable. So next time, I don't know what this picture represents. See you next time.